Am I right?
You were starting to say, Maharaj?
Am I right about our starting place?
That's what I have also.
Okay.
All right. Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Vishnupad Panamansa Pariprajaka Ashtotar Satashi Srimad AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath, Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, for leading a kirtan. And thank you to everyone for coming here for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Monday, February 20th, 2023 in New York, day later in Vrindavan, and we are reading in the third canto, 14th chapter, The Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening. Tonight we're starting with verse number 34. Very much looking forward to hearing everyone's questions and or comments. And if, and we're glad you could be with us, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kendra Prabhu, and thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And thank you to all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Titiruvacha Name Garbham Ivam Brahman Bhutanam Rishabhobatit Rudrapatir Hi Bhutanam Yasya Godavam Hasam. The beautiful Diti said, "My dear Brahmana, kindly see that my embryo is not killed by Lord Shiva, the Lord of all living entities, because of the great offense I have committed against him." Purport. Diti was conscious of her offense and was anxious to be excused by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva has two popular names, Rudra and Ashutosh. He is very prone to anger, as well as quickly pacified. Diti knew that because of his being quickly angered, he might spoil the pregnancy she had so unlawfully achieved. But because he was also Ashutosh, she implored her Brahmin husband to help her in pacifying Lord Shiva. For her husband was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. In other words, Lord Shiva might have been angry with Diti because she obliged her husband to transgress the law, but he would not refuse her husband's prayer. Therefore, the application for excuse was submitted through her husband. She prayed to Lord Shiva as follows. Namo Rudraya Mahate Deva Yograya Midhushe Shivaya Nyasta Dandaya Vitatandaya Manyave. Let me offer my obeisances unto the angry Lord Shiva, who is simultaneously the very ferocious great demigod and the fulfiller of all material desires. He is all auspicious and forgiving, but his anger can immediately move him to chastise. Purport. Diti prayed for the mercy of Lord Shiva very cleverly. She prayed, "The Lord can cause me to cry, but if he likes, he can also stop my crying, because he is Ashutosh. He is so great that if he likes, he can immediately destroy my pregnancy. But by his mercy, he can also fulfill my desire that my pregnancy not be spoiled. Because he is all auspicious, it is not difficult for him to excuse me from being punished, although he is now ready to punish me because I have moved his great anger. He appears like a man, but he is the Lord of all men." Sana prasidatam bhamo Bhagavan urvanugraha yadhasyap anukampyanam strinam deva sati patihi. Let him be pleased with us, since he is my brother-in-law, the husband of my sister, Sati. He is also the worshipable Lord of all women. He is the personality of all opulences and can show mercy toward women who are excused even by the uncivilized hunters. Purport. Lord Shiva is the husband of Sati, one of the sisters of Diti. Diti invokes the pleasure of her sister, Sati, so that Sati would request her husband to excuse her. Besides that, Lord Shiva is the worshipable Lord of all women. He is naturally very kind toward women, on whom even the uncivilized hunters also show their mercy. Since Lord Shiva is himself associated with women, he knows very well their defective nature, and he might not take very seriously Titi's unavoidable offense, which occurred due to her faulty nature. Every virgin girl is supposed to be a devotee of Lord Shiva. Titi remembered her childhood worship of Lord Shiva and begged his mercy. Maitreya Vacha Swasargasya Shisham Lokyam Ashanam Pravepatim Ashasanam Pravepatim Nivritta Sandhya Niyamo Paryamaha Prajapatihi. Maitreya said, the great sage Kashyap thus addressed his wife, who was trembling because of fear that her husband was offended. She understood that he'd been dissuaded from his daily duties of offering evening prayers, yet she desired the welfare of her children in the world. Kashyapa uvacha prayatyad atmanaste doshan mahurtikaruta mannidesha ticharena devanam shatihelanat. The learned Kashyapa said, because of your minds being polluted, because of defilement of the particular time, because of your negligence of my directions, and because of your being apathetic to the demigods, everything was inauspicious. Purport. The conditions for having good progeny in society are that the husband should be disciplined in religious and regulative principles, and the wife should be faithful to the husband. In Bhagavad Gita 7:11, it is said that sexual intercourse, according to religious principles, is a representation of Krishna consciousness. Before engaging in sexual intercourse, both the husband and the wife must consider their mental condition, the particular time, the husband's direction, and obedience to the demigods. According to Vedic society, there's a suitable, auspicious time for sex life, which is called the time for Garbhadhan. Titi neglected all the principles of scriptural injunction, and therefore, although she was very anxious for auspicious children, she was informed that her children could not be worthy to be the sons of a Brahmin. There's a clear indication herein that a Brahmin's son is not always a Brahmin. Personalities like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu were actually born of Brahmins, but they were not accepted as Brahmins because their fathers did not follow the regulative principles for their birth. Such children are called demons or Rakshasas. There were only 1 or 2 Rakshasas in the previous ages due to negligence of the disciplinary methods. But during the age of Kali, there's no discipline in sex life. How then can one expect good children? Certainly, unwanted children cannot be a source of happiness in society. But through the Krishna consciousness movement, they can be raised to the human standard by chanting the holy name of God. That is the unique contribution of Lord Chaitanya to human society. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadhati Shapatantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Shahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shari Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So aprayatyad atmanaste doshan mahurtikadhuta mani deshati charena devanam chati hevanat. So as we discussed in the previous class, Diti had been pressing to have sex, and now that the sex was over, she felt ashamed and fearful. And so she's praying that her embryo not be destroyed. The time was bad. The mind was polluted. And Matnidesha Ticharena, she had gone against the direction of her husband. Nidesha means instructions, directions. Mat Nidesha Aticharena, she'd overstepped the instructions of the spiritual master or the husband. Husband is also considered the spiritual master of the wife. So it becomes Guru Avagya. Guru Avagya, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. That will never be auspicious. All right, any questions so far? Why is she trying to maintain the pregnancy, knowing that the children will be demoniac? Well, she hasn't yet been explicitly informed that the children will be demoniac. That, I believe, comes in the next verse. And also, this is the nature of motherly affection. The child may be a rogue, but for the mother, the child is really good. He may be misunderstood. There may be of some discrepancy, but it should be excused and so on. So in the eyes of the mother, the child is seen differently than as seen by others. So that may also be a consideration. Saraswati has a question above. Okay, let's find it. Kashyapa Muni openly criticized Diti and stated her mind is polluted and points at her apathetic behavior to the demigods. But this is sheer hypocrisy, as he's equally guilty too. In fact, more so because he's in a higher position and meant to lead his wife under all circumstances, isn't accepting his own part and blame in this, important for his own reformation and spiritual progress too. That's not a bad point. Of course, it's still, she started the thing, she pushed for it. So that's her blame. And now she's all pious and wants to pray to Lord Shiva and so on. So her husband is naturally angry with her. But your point is also valid. Prabhupada points out that he was weak and he also was inclined somewhat, so that he's also at fault. And yes, we blame when we're at fault. We want to find someone else to pin the blame on. I think I mentioned the other day, it was the woman that you gave me. Why did you eat of the forbidden fruit? The woman that you gave me made me eat of it. So the blame belongs to the woman, or the blame belongs to the God who created the woman. That's why I did it. It wasn't really my fault. So this is typical blame shifting. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Bhavishyatas tava bhadrav abhadre jatharadhamao lokan sapalam strings chandi muhur akrandayishyata. O haughty one, you will have two contemptuous sons born of your condemned womb. Unlucky woman, they will cause constant lamentation to all the three worlds. Purport: contemptuous sons are born of the condemned womb of their mother. In Bhagavad Gita 140, it is said, when there is deliberate negligence of the regulative principles of religious life, The women as a class become polluted, and as a result, there are unwanted children. This is especially true for boys. If the mother is not good, there cannot be good sons. The learned Kashyapa could foresee the character of the sons who would be born of the condemned womb of Diti. The womb was condemned because of the mothers being too sexually inclined, and thus transgressing all the laws and injunctions of the scriptures. In a society where such women are predominant, one should not expect good children. There's some interesting points here. Srila Prabhupada's rendering of 140. Adharmo bibhavad Krishna pradushanti kulastriyaha strishu dushtashu varshnaya jayate varna sankaraha. Adharma abhibhavad, when there's deliberate negligence of the regulative principles of religious life. Adharma abhibhavad. There are regulative principles to be followed for married life, for begetting a child. When these are deliberately neglected, pradushanti kulastriya, the women become polluted, and they become, as they themselves complain, simply sex objects. And strishu dushtashu varshnaya jayate varna sankara, and from the condemned wombs of such women, we get varna sankara, unwanted children, or unqualified children, condemned children. Sankaro narakayaiva kulagananam kulasyacha. And the unwanted children make life hellish. So this is humans. This is human society or subhuman society in Kali Yuga. The religious principles are neglected. Women become polluted. Men pollute them, and the children are on the level of cats and dogs because they're begotten without any purpose, without any regulative principles followed, by accident, as an outcome just of lust. So these just one. Oh, if you open the door, then we'll hear this sweet kirtan in the background, which is worth hearing. Thank you. Every morning, Kadamba Kanan Maharaj has been having short kirtan for his Giridash. So so in the modern society, we have cats and dogs. But as Prabhupada pointed out in the previous verse, by Krishna Kirtan, by Krishna consciousness, people can be uplifted to the human platform, at least. And from there, we can hope for genuine progress in spiritual life. The Surubi Kunj asks why the reference to boys, let's see, if the mother is good, there cannot be good sons. The explanation is that according to Vedic statements, the daughter inherits the qualities of the father and the son takes after the mother. So if the mother is bad, then the sons will be bad. The vivid example is Maharaj Mena. His father was good, but his mother was, what was it? The daughter of death personified, or some very inauspicious quality. And so the son became a complete rogue. So that's the reason that yes, that's the reason. Then there's a comment from Gurudas. Oh no, before we get there, Saraswati says, it appears that Kashyap is already cognizant that Diti is pregnant and can foresee the demonic progeny that will be born. This implies he has some power in seeing the future. Yes, Bhavishyati. This is what will happen. So as a sage, he has that clarity, he can see. Sometimes everybody has some ability to see the future, but in sages, this capability is more highly developed. Also, it states here that typically a bad mother has bad sons, but there are exceptions, as in the case of Bhaumasura and his devotee mother, Bhumi Devi. And Cheskandhari had 100 demonic sons like Duryodhana. Also, yes, so everything has its exceptions. So this is a general tendency, but there may be exceptions, yes. Also, do bad fathers produce bad daughters? Yes, we would expect that. Comment from Gurudas. Prabhupada calls Diti's prayers clever, as she prays as if she's not a direct devotee of Lord Shiva. One wonders whether her same mood as a non-devotee, allowed her to conveniently forget the presence of the higher authority till after she had achieved her lusty goals. One wonders whether this was her plan all along, to commit the deed and then pray for forgiveness. Well, let's take this step by step. First, I'm not sure that her cleverness is just not being, presenting herself as not directly a devotee, but the language used in that verse is clever. And Prabhupada glosses it, he goes through it, that her, let's find it. What verse was that? Verse 35. So she addresses him as Lord Shiva as Rudra, which has two meanings, that he can make me cry and he can remove my sorrow. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that way. And then he's Mahate Devaya, Mahate Deva. He will forgive my offense, but he's Urugai, he's fierce, so he'll destroy my child. But Midhushe, so he'll be merciful and not punish me. But Dhritadandaya, he will punish me. So in this way, she's offering obeisances to him in a way that, highlights or brings attention to his contradictory qualities. And of course, she's hoping that the lenient qualities will prevail. So in that sense, there's a cleverness to it. And also, as you said, that she submitted the request through her husband, who was Lord Shiva's devotee. And then one wonders whether her same mood as a non-devotee allowed her to conveniently forget the higher authority till afterwards, and then pray for forgiveness. Well, of course, the comment is the slogan almost now is well known. Easier to beg forgiveness than to ask for permission. So yes, we forget or minimize the rules, the principles, because we are impelled by our own material desires. What is that? It's very specific, actually, in Bhagavad Gita. We know kama krodha esha, kamesha krodhesha, rajaguna samudbhava, mahashano mahapapma, vidyenam ihavairinam. But the question itself is very relevant there. What verse is that, Praveen? 3, I think, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, there it is, 3:16. Ata Krishna, ata kena prayukto yam, papam chariti purusha, anichcham apivarshnaya baladi niyojita. And before that, it's significant. Shreyan swadharmo viguna paradharmat svanushtitad. Swadharme nitanam shreya paradharmo payava. Better to perform one's own duties than someone else's duties. So what is it that makes one deviate from one's duty? Papam chariti. Papa, one meaning of pap is to deviate from one's prescribed duty. That's sinful. For Arjuna, killing is not sinful. Fleeing the battlefield is sinful because his duty is to fight. So what is it that makes one deviate from one's prescribed duty, anichjan, even without desiring to do so? Balad eva niyojita, as if impelled by some force. Then kamesha, krotesha, rajaguna, samudra. Because of lust and anger born of passion, rajaguna, one is impelled to these things. So therefore, the regulative principles have to be followed, and one should not minimize the instructions of the spiritual master. Mad nirdesha aticharena, the overstepping the orders of the spiritual master, neglecting the orders of the spiritual master, minimizing the instructions of the spiritual master, trivializing them or just setting them aside is not at all good. It will cause one problems. So one should take the instructions of the spiritual master very seriously. One should take the instructions seriously and strictly. Otherwise we think that we're getting a better deal by sort of putting them aside or saying, well, that was only in one place that he said that, or that wasn't for me, that was for someone else, or the great slogan of the day, time, place, and circumstance, time, place, and circumstance. Everything can be justified just by waving the time, place, and circumstance flag. Or whatever the method may be, we find some way to make it seem that we don't really need to follow the instructions of the spiritual master or the instructions of the Shastra. And then we wind up unhappy. Vishyendriya samyogad yad tadagre mritopama pariname vishamida tatsukam rajasam smritam. Happiness and passion seems like it will be nectar, but it winds up being poison. Saraswati says, Diti was a devotee of Shiva as a young maiden. She worshipped Lord Shiva. Yes, all young girls would worship Lord Shiva. That was not necessarily that they were completely devoted to Lord Shiva, but to get a good husband, they would worship Lord Shiva. To get something else, demigod worshippers, to get this, they'll worship that. To get this, they'll worship that. But it seems that her husband was a, what shall we say, fixed up devotee of Lord Shiva. All right, something else? So Kashyap knew that she would have two terrible sons, Abhadre, Abhadrav, most inauspicious. And you're also Vivishita Tava Abhadro. You'll have two inauspicious, contemptuous sons. O Abhadra, O inauspicious wife or inauspicious mother. The mother of condemned sons also suffers. The father of condemned children, the mother of condemned, they also suffer. The Chanakya Pandit says if there's in a forest, if there's fire in the hollow of one tree, the whole tree is, the whole forest can burn down. So in the same way, by contemptuous, miserable, disreputable sons, the whole family is dishonored. Pain is caused for the parents, pain is caused for the other relatives, the family name is disgraced. And we see that where is the happiness for such parents to be known as the parents of a gangster or a rapist or a embezzler or a child molester, whatever it is. The parents are disgraced by the stain that affects the whole family. So your sons will be abhadra, not at all good, inauspicious, bad. Abhadra, abhadrani. In fact, let's take a look just for interest. Yeah, inauspicious, says. And Bhadra, blessed, auspicious, fortunate, prosperous, happy, good, gracious, friendly, kind, beautiful, lovely, air, excellent. So that's Bhadra. And Abhadra is just the opposite of all those things. So your sons will be Abhadra and you're Abhadra. They'll cause unhappiness throughout the universe. Jatara Atamo, they'll be born of the lowest condemned womb. Chandi, oh, proud woman. The womb was condemned because of the mothers being too sexually inclined and thus transgressing all the laws and injunctions of the scriptures. In a society where such women are predominant, one should not expect good children. Therefore, Prabhupada says in his Bhagavad Gita purports in the first chapter that the women should be protected, the women should be, yes, under proper protection, so that the women will be of good character, good quality, and from such auspicious women, you'll get good children. Because the purpose is prajaya naratya. Purpose of sex is not enjoyment. The purpose is having good children. So when the women are virtuous, then such virtuous women become the mothers of fortunate children. And when the women become polluted, when the women become, when the purpose of the whole society is just sense gratification, then the men just become woman hunters, the women become prostitutes by character, and then the children are of the caliber of dogs and monkeys, as mentioned in the first canto. So this is all indicated here. So in a society where such women are predominant, don't expect good children. Don't expect good children. And the thing just spirals down because we get unwanted children, then the unwanted children become woman hunters or become polluted women. And from on and on and on, it goes down and down and down. On the other hand, Chanakya Pandit says if there's one fragrant flower in a tree, then the whole forest becomes fragrant. So if someone becomes a devotee, then the whole family is glorified. Even materially, if some great man is born, then the whole family becomes glorious, and the parents become rightly honored and proud and so on. Of course, materially it's not right, but they become honored, they're proud. And if the parents are devotees and the children become devotees, then how wonderful it is that this is the success of family life, to have children who engage fully in the service of Krishna. Let's see. Comment. A Vaishnava is unquestionably against abortion, the killing of the child in the womb. Yet even though the sage Kashyapa predicts with certainty that the sons Diti bears will be a total detriment to the world, their right to be born is absolute and protected. Yeah, Gurudas makes that comment. Maitreya doesn't say, okay, let's kill them. They'll be condemned, but that's what it'll be. That's what it'll be. All right. Shall we stop here and have kirtan? I wonder who would like to lead the kirtan.
Gurudas Prabhu, would you like to lead kirtan?
That's a last resort request. I will lead. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamunsa Pariprajapacharya Ashtottara Satashi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Ki Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Jamunamai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Gurudas Prabhu, for the very nice kirtan. And thank you to all. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shraddha. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
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 Premanande. Hari
Hare
Hari.
Krishna.